Good evening. This is Maestro with the Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. Today, we're going to have a 1v1 on Paletooth Gorge. Our first player is going to be PieOfReckoning, playing as the Eldar Farseer, a support hero with buffs and debuffs and area of effect control spells. His opponent is going to be Rostam, playing as the Chaos Lord, a tanky, destructive melee hero who walks through cover and cannot be suppressed. I'm not even sure what else to say about that. I know that's pretty stereotypical to say it like that. But anyway, we've got hopefully a great game ahead of us, nice and long for a 1v1. And, you know, as 1v1s get to start off a little bit slower, this also gives me some quick time to make announcements, which I'm already wasting some of that time with just some verbiage. But I did want to say that I'm at the point now where after returning to casting for a whole 1.5 months, man, how does the time fly? I am now unable to cast 100% of replay submissions. Up until the replay submitted with the AC versus Wingblade Tyranid mirror, I had cast 100% of replay submissions, a statistic that I am extremely proud of, and also extremely shameful that that statistic will now fall below 100% because now I have just quite a bit more replays that I need to submit. I'm getting more submissions. More are being posted in one of the Dawn of War 2 Discord channels, and there are, of course, those rather lengthy faction wars supplied to me by Impregnable. Anyway, enough announcements. Let's take a look at what's going on in this game. Rostam going to start off with the 2-to-1 cap, going to chase down the Dire Avengers with the Chaos Lord. Now, the Chaos Lord does require a lot of attention, and that is, I feel, what one of his strengths is. But I do feel that letting him go completely unsupported like this isn't the best use of his time, because he hasn't achieved much yet. He took about 20% of the hit points off of a Dire Avenger squad. So I do like the support coming in from the Heretics. There are also the Chaos Space Marines, and this is actually potentially dangerous for this squad of Dire Avengers in the oh my god! Or rather, let's say it's dangerous for the Heretics dying from a grenade. I was trying to make a point how they could threaten these Dire Avengers in the bunker by putting enough range fire, then putting some Heretics in the path of their retreat. Rostam not even messing around with this second Dire Avenger squad, or actually I think that's the same Dire Avenger squad that had a second grenade ready off cooldown and with enough energy. So that is a quick early Heretic wipe by PieOfReckoning, suffered by Rostam. Now, generally speaking, in any given game, any Heretic squad that you keep alive for any length of time will bleed quite a bit, and although Heretic models are very cheap, you will just lose so many of those that I do think eventually they will equal the cost of a whole Heretic squad. So I would say, I have said this point, that a Heretic squad loss that early in the game is actually not really a huge loss, and Rostam just went ahead and replaced that Heretic squad. But that will open up the map for PieOfReckoning to get a triple cap, which means he'll start being able to put the VPs back in his pressure, unless he's not able to get the triple cap because the Heretics will approach. But remember, those Heretics now, especially with this few hit points, really got to be careful about potential grenades. Grenade this time will go in on a Chaos Space... No, that is a squad of Heretics once again. And we're already seeing some upgrades, so I think Rostam is going to run with a very light Tier 1 in terms of army size. Just probably going to go with 3 squads. I have a feeling that he will not get a 4th squad. I mean, technically, his second Heretic squad, or rather his third Heretic squad, really would be considered his 4th squad. But right now, he just has 3 squads, and I don't think he will add another one in his Tier 1. Because the Chaos Lord has a lot of field presence in the sense of how much attention he requires in order to be dealt with, I think the Chaos Lord is a hero who, in my opinion, more so than the other Chaos heroes, can afford to run with a lighter Tier 1. And the upgrades that we do see, I do like the upgrades that we do see. We see the Combi Flamer from the Chaos Lord, as well as the Eternal War on the Chaos Space Marines. And the reasons for both of these are primarily just to put that ranged pressure on the Dire Avengers, since PieOfReckoning is committing to a Dire Avenger heavy build. And while I'm talking about builds, we've got a Chaos Lord going down in retreat. Possibly guided. Ooh, actually more so than guided, we've got the Doombringer. And I think that's also something that's potentially very strong. The Doombringer, you know, in most Farseer replays that I have cast since starting casting again, I have primarily seen the Doombringer. And I do believe that Doom ability is very strong, especially also because the Farseer starts out with Guide baseline, and the combination of Doom and Guide I think is extremely powerful, amplifying the damage of one of your squads on the one hand with Guide, then increasing the damage that an opposing unit will take from Doom results in lots of big damage, some math that I honestly don't want to do right now. But anyway, so PieOfReckoning going with this Dire Avenger heavy build, and PieOfReckoning actually doing rather well in tech, so it looks like he's actually kind of keeping up, although Rostam with the greater power income, but PieOfReckoning with more requisition. PieOfReckoning does have better control of the map, which explains why. So we did see that Immolate ability coming out of the Chaos Lord. And unfortunately, I did not feel the Immolate was particularly impactful there, since there was really nothing to keep those Dire Avengers really pinned in place, and instead of being pinned in place, they just fleet-of-footed out of the fire. Aggressive Grenade will scare the Chaos Space Marines into retreating, but it is a little bit of an economic loss for PieOfReckoning. Did take a model loss on this Dire Avenger squad with that aggressive approach. Overall, though, I do like the way that PieOfReckoning is playing, the way he is microing. And Rostam is kind of on, well, I don't know, I was going to say kind of on the back foot. Certainly at this point in victory points, he is on the back foot. But he actually got to Tier 2 first. Now, of course, part of that is that he did not get a 4th squad, or at this, well, technically a 5th squad, like I had mentioned. PieOfReckoning also actually went, he went actually, he straight up went upgrade heavy. Oh, and then the Ghost Helm. Oh, that definitely is a big explanation of why the Chaos Lord had gone down in retreat in that prior engagement. Oh, I don't like the positioning of this Heretic squad at all. Why are they moving away? That's a grenade opportunity in retreat. Okay, they want this squad. That's actually the more white potential. Grenade in retreat. Both grenades, oh, not quite head on. Will take out all of the models except for 2 of them. So we do see the triple Dire Avenger opening with no Howling Banshees, which is slightly surprising, but of course that does give... I talked about the attention that the Chaos Lord draws, but I think with the triple Dire Avenger... In fact, I would say PieOfReckoning's build, I feel, is very well equipped to deal with the Chaos Lord. Because there is just so much range firepower coming out of triple Dire Avengers. Now all 3 of them are being upgraded with their Exarch. We've got Guide from the Farseer to increase the damage of at least one of those Dire Avenger squads. The Mind War ability from the Ghost Helm is actually notoriously powerful against single targets. And then finally, we do have just the Guardian Weapon Team, which is just going to add even more range damage. So it's actually kind of tough for the Chaos Lord to stay alive here. And I think Rostam is suffering in a lot of ways. I think the Chaos Lord is being well dealt with. And then since he does have a smaller army, he is struggling with map control. Warp Spider's out on the field already. Right now, this is a very weak position for Rostam. He does not have an adequate answer to the Warp Spiders, period. And he's already been suffering quite enough. This actually now, as much as I talked up the Chaos Lord, and for most of Dawn of War 2, I've generally viewed him as the strongest Chaos Commander. I'm not 100% sure if that's true, but I also would not be surprised at all if it is. But right now I felt he is extremely well dealt with. There's just so much range firepower to focus him down quickly. Although he was kitted out to do more range damage with the attempt of inflicting economic bleed on the Dire Avengers, he just really doesn't do enough with the Combi Flamer against all of the range firepower that he's against. He will just be burned down a lot quicker and forced to retreat before he really inflicts any significant losses. Like, he might get a single model. So Rostam is going for a Dreadnought. Heavy power expenditure, especially considering he's about to lose his entire power farm. Yeah, there's really no reason why this... The node should go down too. It hasn't been focused yet. A little bit dropping his micro. Alright. The node is actually not going to go down now because there wasn't... The Dire Avengers weren't positioned in a place where they could target it. If the Dire Avengers had been positioned there and the Warp Spiders had started targeting it, that would have been the power node going down as well. So the Dreadnought purchase is enough to scare PieOfReckoning off for a while, but he's still suffering from a big victory point deficit. He's going to get a Chaos Aspiring Champion on his Chaos Space Marine squad. He might eventually want the Mark of Tzeentch. Certainly he's going to want to put down more generators because he's going to need to make power expenditures. The Mark of Tzeentch being one of... Oh my god, this should be a dead Heretic squad, but no response. Actually, I'm not 100% sure if he had a grenade available. And these are not... That's not a squad of Bloodletters. That definitely came from the global ability from the Chaos Lord. So grenade will go in, rather Haywire grenade will go in on the Dreadnought. At the moment, okay, we are going to see the Bright Lance. So I was going to say that PieOfReckoning really lacked a sufficient answer to the Dreadnought. And in a way, I would say he still kind of does. I mean, he's got the Haywire and Bright Lance combo, which is, it's certainly threatening, but I would say it's not terribly hard to play around. Given that the Bright Lance does not have that snare. Of course, he's relying on the Haywire for that snare, but I think with the suppression gone from the Guardian Weapon team at this point, it won't be too hard to threaten the Guardian Weapon team off the field or tie it up or anything like that. Dire Avengers trying to kite this squad of Chaos Space Marines, and we are going to see the Farseer get involved. Oh my god! So that was the combination of the Mind War ability with the grenades. I'm liking what I'm seeing from PieOfReckoning, just the way he's playing this game. Throwing grenades, trying to actually combo those grenades instead of just throwing them raw all the time. Since that combo is a lot more threatening at that point, it's like either they take the damage or they're going to be forced to retreat. Speaking of being threatened, Guardian Weapon Team, I was actually pretty close to dying. Oh dear, Psychic Storm ability from the Farseer as well. And the Chaos Dreadnought now kind of in trouble, but the Bright Lance is off the field, so actually Chaos Dreadnought should not be in too much trouble. I mean, the biggest source of damage to the Chaos Dreadnought at this point would literally be the Farseer with the Doombringer. And that's still nowhere near enough. And that's actually going to be some Dire Avengers as well as some Warp Spiders forced off the field. Now, PieOfReckoning is trying to take advantage of the Fleet of Foot ability from the Dire Avengers to see if he can keep them out on the field, but at some point he decides to cut his losses, decide it's not worth the potential bleed that he might suffer from just taking more damage by keeping the Dire Avengers in the field. So now Rostam has a double cap, but the overall victory point count is still significantly against him. We are going to see a Mark of Khorne Dreadnought. And I think part of what is allowing Rostam to come back into this game is that PieOfReckoning has not chosen to increase the threat that he is going to put on the Chaos Dreadnought. He has not chosen to get anything else to threaten the Dreadnought. He's just sticking with the Bright Lance and the Guardian Weapon Team and the Warp Spider Squad. And as we're seeing at the moment, right now Rostam is playing around that. So that by itself is not enough. Rostam, meanwhile, has put down a power farm. Not sure how long that's been there, but we do see that he's actually rather low on power, probably investing in upgrades. He did get the Mantle of Hate, try to put some single target pressure probably back on the Farseer like the way the Farseer has been putting on him. Oh, Mark of Khorne Chaos Space Marines. I don't know how I feel about that. Okay, here's what is good about them. That will actually make it extremely easy for them to threaten the Guardian Weapon Team. And I think I would say that's their intended purpose. Maybe he's not even thinking about it that much, but I would say I actually feel, at first I disliked the Mark of Khorne Chaos Space Marines, because in general, just the Mark of Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines just fits better compositionally into the Chaos Army. It would give him an answer to the Warp Spiders, but at least seeing the purpose that it would serve right now for what he's against, oh my, but they can't deal with that. I mean, they got hit by Doom. Now they're being hit by Mind War. They're taking so much damage from the Guardians, from the Dire Avengers, that they lose a model. Yeah, the Dire Avengers, sorry, the Khorne Chaos Space Marines absolutely can't deal with that. But man, PieOfReckoning not dealing with the Tzeentch Dreadnought. And this is especially a time where the response to the Dreadnought needs to be increased. The Dreadnought has been what has allowed Rostam to come back into this game. And switching to the Mark of Khorne, although it decreases the range damage coming out of the Khorne Dreadnought, it overall just increases the survivability of the Dreadnought by a lot, which ultimately is really what's killing PieOfReckoning at this point, the fact that he is not putting enough threat on the Dreadnought. So he's going for the Fire Prism, and the Fire Prism, that will definitely increase the threat on the Dreadnought. And this is where, at this time, we're going to need further response from Rostam. What is he going to do at this point to deal with this Fire Prism, which, if it's played right, overall massively outclasses Rostam's army? Certainly, I mean, PieOfReckoning, first of all, just has a bigger army. Rostam choosing to go to Tier 3. Now, the good thing about going to Tier 3 is that it will give him access to a Predator, which can potentially threaten the Fire Prism quite a bit, especially if he manages to catch it from a flanking angle or get the Fire Prism going a little bit too close. I don't like the Fire Prism leading in like this, though, and going this far in. I mean, he might suspect that he's at a tech disadvantage. He does have the focus beam set so that he will do more damage against the cast Dreadnought. But I really don't like the Fire Prism this close. Lead in with some other unit. Keep the Fire Prism far back and safe. Fire Prism now targeting the Khorne-cast Space Marines instead of the Khorne Dreadnought. This absolutely should not happen. Like the Fire Prism should never let a Dreadnought get that close. And oh no, the Khorne-cast Space Marines also in trouble, going straight for the Fire Prism. They do some light damage, but they're also just going to bleed so much from this. Psychic Storm also goes off. It's going off on the Chaos Lord, who is meanwhile using it's not Mantle of Hate, the ability is called Drain Life on him. And the Chaos Lord, now he goes down in retreat, just blasted apart. This is now getting rough for Rostam. He's had a few small victories, but I mean now he is definitely on the back end of things. What are we going to see as this response to the approaching Chaos, we'll call them Chaos Heretics. Grenade has already been used, so there's not really much chance of a wipe of this squad in retreat. And the defensive grenade also did not work out particularly well. It was mostly missed, as far as I can tell. So this should be PieOfReckoning regaining the double cap, and possibly he's going here for the requisition point. If anything, at this point in the game, I say put the pressure on the victory point and get that stronger victory point pressure. And we are going to see Rostam now actually does have more of an answer. He does have the Chaos Terminators. I do think the Chaos Terminators should absolutely upgrade to the autocannon, because that is also something that will put some threat on the Fire Prism. The Fire Prism definitely does do damage to the Chaos Terminators. I would say probably not hugely strong damage. Although the plasma cannon damage of the Fire Prism does actually do bonus damage to these Chaos Terminators. However, I would also say that the Fire Prism doesn't have particularly high base DPS off the top of my head. They probably would want to use the focus shot on the Chaos Terminators. And I'm going to say off the top of my head, I think the base DPS of the Fire Prism with focus shot is 30-ish, which means that after super heavy infantry armor versus plasma cannon damage, I think that comes out to 50-ish. Passive play right now by Rostam at a time when I'm not sure he can really afford it. I think he should, I don't know, he's going for the backcapping play. Clearly that didn't work out. If anything at this point, oh no, Terminator's approaching by themselves. Like, if anything at this point, I feel I want to see him make a coordinated effort to get the middle victory point. If he can get, he does finally get the autocannon. He's so close, but he's also now taking a lot of damage. Now the Bright Lance is something, well, actually, so you know what? I would say the damage against the Terminator is actually quite good with both the combination of the Fire Prism and the Bright Lance. But I don't like that staggered approach. The Chaos Terminators going in by themselves. The Dreadnought is here now, but now this is just Rostam just kind of trading out hit points without really achieving a whole lot. He scared off one squad of Dire Avengers. He's got the Chaos Lord chasing in the back. Drain Life is going to be used to single out the Farseer. And the Chaos Terminators, sorry, actually the Mark of Khorne Chaos Space Marines. This should actually be a kill on the Farseer. So this, okay, that is worth it, especially if we can get Chaos Space Marines out of there without any further mono losses. Chaos Lord might need to go as well, and he's using the Terminators actually to cap. But at this point, I feel that Rostam has the threat that he needs, or at least close to it, to take out the Fire Prism. No, actually I'm wrong about that. He doesn't have enough, really. I would say I don't think he has enough to threaten to kill the Fire Prism, but I do think he has enough to at least scare it off the field to take the victory point. So, Chaos Dreadnought once again going in by itself, and now he is choosing to support the Chaos Dreadnought. Chaos Dreadnought is actually a very big counter to the Seer Council. I mean, the Seer Council, very threatening against the Terminators. In fact, Terminators need to be extremely careful. Oh no, and PieOfReckoning, well, you know, PieOfReckoning just gave up a Dire Avenger squad, but I half wonder if that was intentional just with how big his army is, if maybe he wanted to just give that up. This should be the end of the Dreadnought at this point, though. Yeah, Dreadnought is gone. And that's why I'm a little disappointed to see that. I feel like, ideally, oh no. Oh, I thought he was going to lose the Chaos Terminators as well. Oh, actually, Fire Prism now quite low on hit points, but there's nothing else to continue threatening him, except for the potential Predator coming out of Rostam. But what I wanted to see was kind of like a concerted approach with the Corncast Space Marines approaching the Fire Prism, the Chaos Terminators approaching it as well, so that's a lot of damage pressure to be put on the Fire Prism. And then to deal with the Seer Council, which would try to counter either the Terminators or the Corncast Space Marines, I would have wanted to see the Dreadnought there to deal with them. I feel like Rostam had the answers in that engagement, however, it just wasn't quite micromanaged in a way that was going to bring him victory. So this time he is going to go for the backup by the Chaos Space Marines again. We don't see PieOfReckoning ready for it this time, so this is going to buy Rostam some time. And the Predator out on the field is a bit of a game changer. Excuse me. I would say the Predator is actually pretty good against everything that PieOfReckoning has. But, of course, there is the potential answer with a Haywire to go on the Predator, and then the Guardian Weapon Team and the Fire Prism able to finish it off. So, it looks like here Rostam not going to be able to finish off the full cap on PieOfReckoning's Natural, so there we will see the Heretics approaching, since PieOfReckoning had moved his units over. Ooh, we're going to see one of those Heretic models sacrificed to spawn some Bloodletters to actually scare off the Guardian Weapon Team. That's not a bad play, but I feel like there needs to be more of an answer to this. And here we are going to see the Fire Prism caught out way too far. That should be a dead Fire Prism. I think the Predator's gonna wind up and finish the Fire Prism. Oh, but there's also gonna be the end of the Predator too. All things considered, I actually think that was good. I think that was actually a winning trade for Rostam. The only problem is the fact that PieOfReckoning is doing so well in terms of his economy because of the map control that he has had all game, that he is actually able to just queue up another Fire Prism. So this, actually, now that I think about it, yeah, Rostam definitely really wanted to keep that Predator alive. I mean, him keeping the Predator alive really, really keeps him in the game. I mean, technically, of course, the game's not over yet, and these Seer Council are actually really low on hit points, but so are these Chaos Terminators. And somehow PieOfReckoning lets the Seer Council die. I actually feel that particular death was incredibly unnecessary. If they had just been retreated earlier, those Seer Council should have been able to stay alive. So PieOfReckoning, though, still with an engagement 1. And I gotta say, the Doom ability from the Farseer has just been putting in so much work against Rostam. Ooh, now he's actually going to switch the rune armor for the armor of the Assyrian, which I do think is going to be a more powerful choice, especially if we are going to see, armor of the Assyrian. I need to see. Once that description comes up, there's something I need to check about the armor of the Assyrian. Time field ability. This is actually incredibly powerful, and what I needed to verify there was the fact that the time field ability prevents units from using abilities, which is particularly threatening against the Terminators, because that can trap them and make it so that they can't use their teleport to escape. So Rostam now cutting it really close. He has a heretic squad tanking damage from a warp spider squad. That's going to be like an instant retreat. So Rostam going to be able to recapture his natural victory point. And this time, is this a squad of bloodletters, or are these more blood sacrifice bloodletters? Probably blood sacrifice with the way I see them teleporting there. Not 100% sure, but we'll find out soon enough. No, I think there's a squad actually. Oh, but the squad of bloodletters now, they just need to walk out of the time field, and then they should be okay. Okay, they're okay now, and this actually is indeed a squad of bloodletters. They now are got to be real careful. They're committing hard to this engagement. That could be a squad of bloodletters dead too. All right, not going for the grenade. Instead, really just choosing to focus on the VPs. Some of those Dire Avengers were knocked over. It's going to be force melee. If anything, oh, the Chaos Lord must just be in retreat. I was saying, why doesn't the Chaos Lord turn on these Dire Avengers? This is going to cut it real close. We're going to see Mark of Horn Chaos Space Marines going to potentially be the saviors in this game. If that was any other Chaos unit, I think this game would already be over. Oh no, just kidding, because the Terminators are able to get the decap on the contested victory point. Here is the Fire Prism back out though, and what is going to be Rostam's answer? At this point, I don't think he can really threaten to kill it. But we are going to see the Khorne Chaos Space Marines, with that movement speed that they had, able to quickly come around here to get that decap and even the full cap on PieOfReckoning's natural. So PieOfReckoning has chosen to replace his Seer Council. Oh no, he's not microing the Fire Prism. And Rostam is actually going to trade out the Terminators for the Fire Prism. Yeah, I was wondering if they had just teleported out there last second, but they don't. And in terms of army size, it's an even game. The Dire Avengers now making a desperate play to capture his natural. The Bloodletters could just go and turn on these Dire Avengers, but it looks like he wants to deal with the Seer Council in the middle. Seer Council are going to be scared off. That's a triple cap in favor of Rostam. Okay, it's a 2-0, but because the Bloodletters turn on the Dire Avengers, PieOfReckoning actually going to call a GG, so this looks like it's going to be Rostam taking it. So that was quite a game that came down to the wire in the end. Hope you enjoyed it. I will be coming in with a few more faction wars as well, and I hope you have a good night.